There we
Val,
are.
Val, first of all, Valerie, do you know if everyone that we expect to be on this?
Yes, we have representatives from Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office. HPWE staff is here and accounted for. So I think we're about ready to get started. Oh, Councilmember, did we lose you? Councilmember, are you still with us?
Yeah, it got messed up here, but I'm back. Do you know of everyone that we're expecting is on this meeting yet, or no?
Yes, sir. We are ready to get started.
Okay, great.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Oats Road Rehabilitation Update. I am Valerie Luna, Outreach Coordinator with the Houston Public Works Department. I am joined by my colleagues Darren Wilson, Division Manager, Christian Guerna, Project Manager, and by representatives from Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office and the Council District Council Member Robert Gallegos. So council member, oh, and I'm sorry, we are also have representatives from RS and H consulting firm. Apologies for that. Councilmember Gallegos, do you want to go ahead and provide some welcoming remarks?
Yeah, thank you, Valerie, and thank you everyone for joining us. And I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Lodge. I know this is something that he brought to my attention about a year or so after taking office, and he actually gave me a tour and showed me the poor conditions of Oats Road. Which I mentioned to him. I used to be in the freight business, and one of the carriers I used to work for, that area was part of my territory, and I said nothing's changed in the sense that it was in bad shape back then. It was in bad shape then, and I did assure him that I will do my best to try to do some improvements and make it better. So I'm glad to be here today. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us to learn more about the upcoming major rehabilitation of Oats Road between Wallaceville and Beaumont Highway. But before we get started, I'd like to ask everyone to please mute your microphone. We'll open it up for questions after the second presentation, and you can unmute at that time if you'd like to ask a question. Today, we'll hear from Houston Public Works on the upcoming work on Oats Road, a $2.2 million project to repair base failures, improve the road surface drivability, and extend the life of the roadway. This is not a simple pothole repair or skin patch maintenance like has been done that has been performed in the past. This major rehabilitation project is being completed by the City of Houston in partnership with Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Adrian Garcia. And I want to personally thank him again for partnering with the city on this project. He stepped up as an important funding partner. So again, a big thank you to him and Precinct 2 for partnering with the Houston Public Works and my office to deliver this much needed project for the community. In addition to the rehabilitation project slated to begin in November, Houston Public Works has engaged RS&H Engineering for a full assessment of Oats and to begin the pre-engineering process that will help us determine future infrastructure needs. That is separate from the rehabilitation work, and RS&H will provide information on that process after Public Works gives their presentation. Again, thanks to everyone for your interest and advocacy. The emails and calls many of you made have helped get us to this point. And again, I want to thank Mr. Lodge and everyone along Oats Road. I know that we had a good turnout at the last CIP meeting we had where the mayor was there. and I stepped aside and allowed the individuals to actually go up to the mayor and start mentioning to the mayor about Oats Road. So the mayor is perfectly aware about the condition of Oats Road. So again, thank you to everyone. Now I'd like to turn it over back to Valerie Luna and Darren Wilson with Houston Public Works to go over the project scope and the timeline. So again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, council member. So yes, let's go ahead and jump right in. So our project details for Oats Road, our limits, as the council member stated, are Wallaceville to Beaumont Highway. Our anticipated start date is winter 2021. We will begin construction. The length of our projects here at the Houston Public Works Department are measured in lane miles. So per lane, per mile. Here is a visual of what our existing conditions currently, what the existing conditions of Oats Road currently are. And as you heard from Councilmember Gallegos, it is in poor condition, very poor condition, unpaved shoulders. The existing asphalt has many issues currently. The Street Rehabilitation Initiative was created to focus on the extending the life of our existing infrastructure. And by rehabilitating our street services, fixing the curbs, and bringing areas of need to accessibility standards in use. The goal is to provide you, the community, with a noticeable improvement and to maximize our assets. So we will be conducting base repairs, paved shoulders, and a mill and overlay is what we're proposing for the construction. Our contractor has been directed to grind and pull off the existing asphalt, which you will see an example here in the left image, so that we can actively seek out the base failures underneath for repairs. And you will see that imagery on the right there. Once all the necessary base repairs have been made, the contractor will then lay the new asphalt and the roadway within the project limits described in the previous slides. And again, in the past, Oats Road has received numerous maintenance repairs, which means we've restored a small area to a safe use, but we recognize that these pothole repairs and skin patches, the lifespan is very short, which is why we are conducting the rehabilitation project. And again, the goal is to improve the payment condition and driver experience. So in some cases, the new asphalt, the new area will last 5 to 8 years, and in some cases 10 to 15. So on the left, you will see that we will be removing the base sections of the base that need a replacement, and we will be replacing it with new material, and you will see that as an example of that in the right imagery. During our construction process, citizens will see us restoring and placing a new surface along the roadway. We will begin actively, again, seeking out the base failures, and then we have our completed street rehab example here on the right. And as for comparison, the right-of-way will remain the same. We will not be touching the actual feet of the right-of-way. We will be paving the shoulders again, and we will not be touching the roadside ditch. So during our construction, safety is our #1 priority, and we want to be sure that the community is aware of the heavy machinery and the trucks and the signage. And so we want to make sure that everyone is safe during this process. We will be, our contractor is required to distribute door hangers and in some cases, actual letters. And on those door hangers and letters, citizens will find pertinent information related to the project. So we ask that everyone hang on to that information throughout the construction process. And as we begin the construction phase and wrap things up, we want to make sure that we're addressing any concerns and answering any questions that may be related to the construction. So please know that we will be posting a copy of the presentation and the link to the recording at our engagehouston.org webpage. And for any questions, you can always call 311 or email 311. And to the right, you will see the project number to reference when speaking with the 311 operator. And at this time, I'm going to introduce Donald with our consulting firm to discuss the design concept report in more detail.
Thank you, Valerie. And as Valerie mentioned, I'll be presenting the design concept report. That's the next stage. As mentioned previously by the councilman and also by Valerie, the Oats Road Rehabilitation Project will improve and extend the life of Oats Road, 5 years plus. And that's while a more extensive project is being planned. In May of this year, the planning process started for Oats Road for a more comprehensive or extensive project that will address identified needs for the future or longer term. Next slide. The purpose of the DCR, the Design Concept Report, like I mentioned, is to identify long-term needs, and we will be developing solutions to address those needs or deficiencies. Long-term improvements that we will be evaluating will include total roadway reconstruction, that's concrete pavement. Paved shoulders will depend on whether, the cross section we go with. If we decide that curb and gutter is the best approach, then we would not have paved shoulders. But if we are reconstructing the roadway, depending on the cross section, paved shoulders could come into play. We would also be looking at any capacity improvements that are needed. Drainage and flooding improvements will be addressed, identified, and included as part of the project. We're currently looking at the need for sidewalks, bike lanes for connectivity to the city's overall bike plan. Certainly we'll be looking at safety enhancements, knowing that there are a lot of large trucks out there. Maybe we would be looking at a two-way left turn lane to improve access management and also safety. And again, would be looking at intersection improvements, mainly at the intersections on the two ends of the roadway, that's Beaumont Highway and Wallaceville Road. And as part of an overall reconstruction, we would be looking to upgrade the signing and pavement markings for the roadway. Next slide, please. This chart just kind of outlines the project development process or the steps that will be taken as part of the DCR. The planning part of this project is the design concept report. Then we would follow into design, and that's the plan, specifications, and estimate. That's the actual development of the construction drawings. Then the project would eventually go into construction. Once the construction is finished, there's always ongoing maintenance and operation activities by the city to keep the roadway up to desirable standards. Next slide, please. We'd like to give you just kind of an overview of the DCR schedule. What you see, this graphic here is our schedule for completing the DCR. This is a three-stage process. Stage one is evaluating existing conditions and identifying the needs. We have completed stage one, and we're starting stage two. As part of stage 2, it will consist of evaluating various alternatives and improvements, and it will conclude with a recommendation of a preferred alternative to serve Oats Road for the long term. Near the end of stage 2 and before starting stage 3, we will host another public meeting very similar to the one that we're holding today to get your input before finalizing the preferred alternative. So again, today is just kind of the kickoff of the design concept report to identify long-term needs, but we will certainly be coming back to this group to get your input before we finalize what will be considered the preferred alternative. And that will occur before the end of October. Under stage 3, which is the final stage of the design concept report, we'll be defining more of the engineering details of the project. And also as part of that stage, we will be seeking funding from various sources so that the project can move into final design. Stage 3 completes the DCR process, and we're planning to have that completed during the first part of December. As mentioned, we have completed stage 1, and from this effort, we've identified the following deficiencies that you see on the slide here. And as users of the roadway and business owners, I'm sure that you've probably already experienced many of these issues that were identified. The poor pavement conditions. I know that the current project, the rehabilitation project, will address that. But the longer term project will be looking to possibly reconstruct the roadway with concrete paving, paying close attention to the depth of the pavement so that we can adequately address the heavy truck traffic and other industrial needs for this particular roadway. Currently, there's no visible striping, pavement markings with a new project that would certainly be included. Unpaved shoulders, depending on the final or the preferred alternative, it may be paved shoulders or it could be curb and gutter. We will have identified that the existing storm sewer system have some inadequate capacities at certain places. I'm sure that during major rainstorms and even typical events, you've probably identified some flooding that occur on this roadway. Drainage improvements will certainly be a big part of the overall roadway reconstruction. Have identified limited pedestrian facilities. Part of the long-term project would seek to add continuous sidewalks along Oats Road, providing pedestrian safety. And also we know that there's a bus path, a bus route on Oats Road, and this would also provide some mobility and safety for pedestrians that are using the Metro bus. We will get Metro involved. We'll seek to, where needed, upgrade bus stop locations and other transit amenities for this particular corridor. Some of the intersections, the two that I mentioned before, Wallaceville Road and Beaumont Highway, have some movements that are operating at a poor level of service. We will certainly evaluate and make intersection improvements as deemed necessary to bring those intersections back to acceptable operating conditions. So again, as part of this process, we will be identifying the long-term needs that will pick up, from the lifespan of the current project that will extend the life of Oats Road out to 5 years or more. These type of improvements will take it to a 30-plus lifespan. So that concludes the briefing on the DCR process, and I'm sure that there will be questions, and we look forward to getting your input.
Thank you so much, Donald. So let's go ahead and jump into the Q&A portion. We have some questions here in our chat box already, so I'm going to ask that our Darren Wilson with the Houston Public Works Department go ahead and unmute at this time. And so that way he can be on to answer these questions. So our first question today is, what is the estimated time of completion for the entire project? And now, Esther, are you referring to the rehabilitation project or to the DCR report? The street. Okay. Darren, can you go ahead and chime in here?
Yes, I think the estimated time to do the street rehabilitation is going to be about 90 days. So we're looking around 3 to 4 months.
Thank you so much. Our second question, what is the current road bed width? The proposed is 20.
I would have to go back and look at the plans on that because I don't know what the existing is. Offhand. Give me a minute and I will get that answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, and we'll be sure to circle back to that question. When does the rehab begin?
Currently, we have we only have a few contractors that are capable of doing volumes of work at this size. Currently, they are doing an emergency project right now. They're anticipated to be done sometime around November, late November, early December. And as soon as they are done with the emergency project, they are going straight to Oats Road and start on this project.
In that little freezer.
Thank you so much, Darren. And just so that everyone knows, we will be using our Engage Houston website to provide updates, in addition to working with your council member's office to provide those updates for you as well. And if anyone would like to raise their hand and unmute, we can go ahead and accept questions like that as well. Donald, this question is geared toward our consultants. After the rehabilitation project is complete, when will the DCR begin?
The DCR, we've already started. And in fact, as I mentioned, we've completed stage 1 and the entire DCR process. We're planning to have that completed the first part of December. And the DCR process will define the longer term project. After that, it's seeking funding to finish the final design and then the construction of the project. But the overall preferred alternative that will be finished the first part of December.
Thank you. Ray Herrera, if you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question, please feel free.
Yes, everything's great. I'm glad that we're taking you guys are finding notice in this area. My question is, at the beginning, coming from Wallaceville into Oats Road, right now it is basically very difficult to navigate the first mile from there. And I've called numerous times, and I think 411 got tired of me calling you guys, that they gave me Mr. Gallego's telephone number. But I know it's going to start somewhere around November. Let's be realistic. I said at the beginning of next year, probably, right? I need something to be done to that portion of that road as soon as yesterday, because I could send you the bills on my truck. I just spent on my suspension about $4,000. Bills that I've taken my truck where I have broken motor mounts driving down this particular road. This is all coming out of my pocket. I would like to send the bill to somebody so you guys can fund me some of that money back. Like I said, it's very difficult for anybody. And I've even spoke to Mr. Guy. He said he was going to take a trip down here. He's going to figure that out. I'm pretty sure if he drove through that area, he knows how bad that area was at the beginning. I would like to know what is going to be done till the project starts for that particular section, at least, so that we can possibly at least be able to drive there to my house. You know, that area is pretty bad. I know there's the area down where Metal Plate is at. I don't know what the name of that street is. It floods really bad, and I know some guys can't even get to work there sometimes going into that area. But my main concern is what's going to happen as of right now, instead of sending 411 to put a 2-inch patch on one hole, what can be done right now to fix that one section?
Well, actually, that's the maintenance that we do. Well, you see a lot of skim patches and stuff out there now, and that is what our street rehab does. So yeah, if you call 311, that's it. They're going to keep it at least safe and drivable at this time. So if there is some real bad sections, let them know. They can go out and we can do a skim patch again until the actual street rehabilitation starts.
Yeah, and thank you, Darren. And yes, Mr. Herrera, we recognize that the skin patches and the pothole repairs that have been conducted in the past, they just aren't working out. They have a short lifespan to them, and so that's why you and your neighbors are having to constantly call 311. So that's why we're elevating our response to our rehabilitation program. That's why Oats Road is being included. So that way the department can do more than just what the normal maintenance has been up until now. Now, between today and the start of the major thoroughfare rehabilitation, yes, when you call 311, they're going to come and bring that area up to just a safety use. But again, when we conduct our rehabilitation project, we're not going in and just doing skin patches. We are going to be doing physical base repairs. And so we will be extending the life expectancy of the area. So you will see a noticeably different response when our contractors come out, start the construction process. So I hope that addresses your concerns. Next, we have Transpro, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I wanted to know what we need to do we're newly moved into a facility on Oats Road and wanted to know what we needed to do to widen the culvert where our entrance to our facility during this project.
If I could just add a comment from the DCR standpoint, as part of that evaluation, we are doing a complete and comprehensive drainage study and analyses. And so any of the, culverts or other drainage facilities that are inadequate or deficient will be included as part of the longer term project. I'm not sure, what drainage improvements will be included as part of the rehab that starts, immediately. But we will be addressing, culverts and again, all of the drainage facilities for Oats Road.
We're looking, the question leads to the width of the entrance. We're looking to expand the width of the entrance in that easement, which would be inclusive of extending the culvert to make it wider to turn tractor trailers into that facility. And I'm wondering what we need to do to be able to do that during this project.
This is Darren Wilson. You would need to do it just like you would any other typical construction. You would have to go through the city engineer's office and have that permitted. With the rehab, all we're doing is we're just staying within the boundaries of the roadway, which I'll go back and I'll answer a previous question here. I went back and looked at the plans. The existing roadway is 20 feet wide. The new roadway is going to remain that same width, but with the addition, we're adding 10 feet of shoulders onto each side of the roadway.
Thank you. Next, we have J.W. Lodge.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate y'all being here and organizing this meeting. Just to tag on to Mr. Wilson's comment there, I think one thing that we've experienced, and we have trucks, and there's a lot of people on this call that have trucks, is that at a 10-foot roadbed or roadway, or lane widths, pardon me, 20-foot total, you've got a lot of overhang with the truck. So that creates issues with, or issues on the shoulder, because you all of a sudden you've got, you know, 1 or 2 tires constantly on the shoulder, which creates ruts. The ruts fill with water, and then all of a sudden you have base failure. And then that's where we feel like a lot of the issues come from. So I would really urge, in the rehabilitation program, really urge the feasibility. I don't know what the feasibility of adding 6 inches and even making it 21 feet or 22. But if we're going to, I recognize that this is somewhat of a temporary, fix before we do a full reconstruction. But at any rate, I think it's worth doing it right until, you know, if this lasts us 5 to 10 or 15 years, at least we could live with it being right versus going back to exactly the same way we have it. We know it's too narrow. And I feel like we're going to have shoulder issues and base failures all over again. Luckily, it may only be might be 5 years from now, but I have a feeling we're going right back into the same thing again.
Okay, thank you so much, JW, for sharing your comments, and we'll definitely make note of that for our project manager and for the DCR of that concern.
And I'm sorry, I did have one more question. Is there a contractor named for the rehabilitation?
Yes, sir. It's Infrastructure Services Incorporated, better known as ISI.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ray Greathouse?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name's Ray Greathouse. I live down off of Pandora Drive, which is about halfway between Wallaceville and Old Highway 90. I've lived here for 20-something years, and all this road's ever had is just Band-Aid put on it. And a week later, it's beat out again. And I do know when you build a road, if you don't have a good base under it, I don't care how much asphalt you put on it, it's going to be just like Oats Road is now. What Oats Road really needs is concrete and steel, like Oats Road is between Wallaceville and New Highway 90 up there. It needs to be fixed right once and for all. If the city can spend $100 million upgrading a golf course, you'd think they could fix Oats Road. And I mean, this road needs to be fixed right once and for all. I've seen it patched time and time again. If you buy a new car, it's a piece of junk by the time you get it paid for from driving up and down this road. And I guess if it's just a matter of time till someone's going to get killed on this road. I almost got hit head on yesterday evening from a car trying to dodge a hole. And he almost hit me head on. In fact, he probably didn't miss me 4 foot. And it's scary. And this road needs to be fixed once and for all with concrete and steel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Greathouse. David Armenta? I'm sorry if I butchered your last name.
Yes, that's correct. I'm going to agree with Mr. Ray Greathouse that we need to look at a permanent solution instead of a Band-Aid, because there is a section between Herman Brown Park and Wallaceville that is Oats Road that has concrete on it, and between Wallaceville and Highway 90, we would also it would be feasible to go ahead and install a concrete solution than asphalt. So when will the DCR come in to do Oats with a concrete solution?
As it stands now, that certainly appears to be the leading option, is to reconstruct that as a concrete roadway, and that's certainly something that's been stressed by the councilman's office. I'll have to defer to the city in terms of a future date when a total reconstruction would start, but we would certainly, David, come back to this group by the end of October with the recommendations of what would be going forward as the preferred alternative.
Thanks, Donald. Hello, David, everyone. My name is Donald Buaku. I'm the project manager for the DCR part of this project on the city side. I'm a principal planner with the city. To answer your question, David, the DCR, as Donald has mentioned, is a study currently, and we are hoping to, once we have the study completed, we are hoping to apply for funding based on the results of the study. So the first one that we are targeting is the Traffic Improvement Program, which is organized by AGAC. I think they will have a call for projects early next year. And if we have the DCR completed by December, that's one that we are hoping to chase. And actually, we are working hand in hand with the county to go for that funding. We will also be looking at other funding sources that we'll be targeting once we have the DCR in hand. So we do agree with you that, yes, a full reconstruction, full redesign, wider lanes is warranted. So as soon as we have the DCR ready, we are definitely going to be hitting the road and looking for funding to do it as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donald. Next, we have Christina.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Christina. I'm a 15-year resident here at the Winewood Acres subdivision. And it's really more of a comment than a question, but I just wanted to make sure that it was something that was acknowledged in the planning process as well as the development. So I just wanted to make sure that there's appropriate and adequate signage throughout Oats Road because there's a lot of cars that fly by. I know we have a bus stop at the corner of Pandora Drive. It's a school bus stop, so I know several kids are there in the morning around 6:30 a.m. So I did want to make that a priority. And also, I'm not sure if I saw in the plans if they're going to keep the drainage, the ditches. But I do know that after like 30 minutes of heavy rain, they flood. I know not to go through there because I live here for a long time, but for other people who don't, for example, during Harvey, or unfortunately, they went into the ditches because of that. So I just wanted to make the developers, project managers, and you know, anybody who's in charge of construction to please keep that into consideration when planning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. Next, we have Robert Dre, and then Garner. I believe I thought I saw your hand up, and then you may have put it down. I know you've been waiting a little bit, so we'll go to Robert first, and then we'll go to Garner.
Hi, my name is Robert Dre, and I've lived there since 1981, and I've been down to the city council several times on Oats Road. And back in '89, I went down and saw the engineers, and we pulled drawings on Oats Road. And here's the reason why Oats Road will never be any better than what it is now unless it's concreted. Down there at the worst part where they cut it out and they added Wallaceville Road, that has a fault line right there. And if you drive it, you'll notice that the road drops off, and that's where the worst part of the road is that area. And that was also Exxon's gas production area out there, and they had a lot of wells out there, so they've sucked out all the natural gas, and it's now water, and it floats. So that section down there, it don't matter how much you patch it and what you do with your DCR thing that you're calling, it's not going to work because that section down there is floating all the time. And when it rains, if you take that section and you do the drainage ditches and take them away, the only thing that saved us people down there for Harvey was Oats Road because it's higher. They haven't cut that sucker down yet. Now, when they cut down the corner at Wallaceville and Oats Road, what happened was I was taken out on a boat across there with the National Guard, and the only thing that kept me from not drowning was Oats Road because it's not been cut down like the rest of it. So when you do your DCR, please do not make it any lower than what it is. That road on that corner that floods now used to be 10 foot higher and was a curve before they put in the new Wallaceville Road. And that's been the problem. The drainage goes that way with metal plate across. So on the west side, their drainage is not adequate. That's why it floods every time they get a rain, because when it gets closer to Wallaceville Road down there at the corner. And I've had the city come out there and clean the ditches out on the side because they got plugged up. And there's something blocking it from going into the bayou, is why metal plate always floods. And Mr. Lodge, thank you for posting me about this. I've been to see the mayor, I've talked to the mayor, and he says it's going to take $27 million 3 years ago to fix Oats Road. So that's telling me that $2 million is not a patch. And it's been paved 3 times since I've lived there, since 1981. So when they go cutting down into that road and they lower it, all the people was on Harvey, was on top of that road and not in their houses because we had 30 inches of water back there. It's not a ditch. If you put in culvert ditches like you did at the other end down by Highway 90, it's going to make it worse. And that's my basic comments. You keep cutting that road down for your improvements, and more people's going to flood and drown and die out there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dre, for your comments. We certainly appreciate it, and we rely on the community to be our eyes and ears. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, Garner, are you still on the line? You've been waiting.
Hear me?
Yes.
Actually, Mr. Draper just covered some of my concern with the flooding.
Okay.
Our neighborhood has flooded at least 4 times in the past 15 years because of the situation on Oats Road. And this past fall, we got what we hope would be some relief. And of course, we certainly are looking forward to this design concept report. But if you don't take under consideration with what he just said, then we'll be right back to where we started from, if not worse. So I'm glad that he brought it up. He did a more eloquent job than I certainly could have with the technical points that he made. So I appreciate that. But on top of that, or included, I have a question. We have a lot of gas pipelines out here. And of course, I know you guys are taking that under concern. We have a project going on up and down Oats Road right now. So I'm sure you'll have to do some updates with both your DCR project and your rehab project where those gas lines are concerned. At least I hope you are. Are you working with Harris County as well? So that's a 2-part question. And I'm hoping that since you've listened to us and you say that we're your eyes and ears, and we've been trying to address this for just Oats Road for more than 20 years to get something done, we're talking about a death trap. And even with the rehab project, you're saying maybe October or December, and you have your constituents on the phone, on the line right now telling you about hit and misses. It's like, I can't even describe what it's like on the shoulder, as well as, actually, I'd like for some of you all to come out here and drive Oats Road every day for a week. Monday through Friday. Come drive the road every day for a week. You're ducking and dodging 18-wheelers as well as potholes in the road as well as the shoulder, and damage to our vehicles, commercial and personal. And the first gentleman that you spoke to was telling you what he had endured. And the first word I heard was that you're going to make it called, 311, and they'll come out and make it safe to use. It's not safe. And something really needs to be done, like he said yesterday. So those are my concerns and my comments. Thank you for this meeting and the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Garner. We appreciate your patience. I know you were waiting on the line for a little while we went through the questions, went through everybody. metal plate galvanizing?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, my name is Olivia. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. My name is Olivia, and I work at Metal Plate Galvanizing. I've been here for 16 years working at this plant. We have over 200 employees that work for us, and they drive these streets on a daily basis. We have complaints about tires being flat. We have complaints about trucks in the ditches. We have complaints on a daily basis because of these roads. And I'm also calling because I wanted to see if y'all know anything about Needham getting repaired that we've been calling about.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that street name?
Needham?
Needham?
Yes, Needham. That street gets flooded. It could rain 30 minutes and the street is flooded. Our employees cannot get to work because the street is flooded. And that's a concern. That's a concern that we can't get to work because of the streets being flooded.
So I'm personally not aware of any future plans for Needham, but if I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, we can certainly look into that for you and connect after the meeting.
Very well. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining, and thanks everybody for trying to get these roads fixed, because it's pitiful when your car breaks down because the roads are not getting fixed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the chat, and then I'll come back to those who have their hands raised. Can I suggest adding speed bumps to the Oats Road project? It's a long street of road, and we don't need it turning into a drag strip after completion. So the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program, which is the program where speed cushions can be potentially installed, it is actually application driven, and we do not place speed cushions along major thoroughfares. But I can certainly put information in the chat box so you can visit our website to learn more about how the program is operated. But we do not put speed cushions along major thoroughfares. Will y'all pay repairs to our cars? So that is a question for our legal department. We unfortunately cannot address those types of inquiries. The department cannot address those types of inquiries, but I can certainly put contact information to our legal department in the chat box for you. Okay, I'm going to go back to the raised hands. Araceli? Ms. Bello, if you are speaking, you are still mute. Okay, we will come back to you if you want to raise, if you want to keep your hand raised. Crutcher William?
Can you hear me? Yes, ma'am. Can you add me to that conversation with you and Miss Olivia about Needham Street? I've had several employees that tore their front bumpers off, and calling 311, they come out and tell us that once the potholes are dry, that they'd patch them. Well, it's been dry for the last 2 weeks, and nobody's been out here to even look at them. I can't hear you, ma'am.
You're on mute, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Yes, I will definitely put my contact information in the chat box. Like I said, I don't have I'm not aware of any future projects for need have, but that is something that we can look into and get back and connect after the meeting.
All righty, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
Hello, yes, this is Josh. The pastor here, the church located on Oats Road, we've been here for over 30 years. I just made it into the meeting. Sorry, it was technical difficulties, but is this regarding repairs to Oats Road?
Yes, we will be conducting a rehabilitation project, which includes repairs to the base and a mill and overlay. I'm sorry, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, we've been told this before, that there would be, but it just seems like we're just getting pothole repairs. Does this mean you say just an overlay on what's already there, or we're going? Because what happens is it's gravel on both sides, and any repair that you do up top is going to be there is temporary. We've had a lot of people of our congregation, like everybody else is saying, they've had employees tear their bumpers. We have services here, just as we're here all week. We have a lot of repairs as well. We're not seeking anything of that. We just want the road to be repaired once, and do it right. We don't want any patches.
Right. So the rehabilitation project is the next level that the city has as a response to areas that are in need. We are not going to be simply conducting skin patches and pothole repairs as part of the project. We are going to be conducting actual base repairs after we pull up the existing roadway.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to address Josh there. This is Darren Wilson with Project Delivery Branch here at the city. I want to explain something here. There's different levels when you have a street here. Your first level is you have maintenance. And that's what you guys are used to seeing is maintenance, going out and just patching potholes or putting skim patches. The next level that it goes to, once it goes beyond that, then you do a street rehabilitation. That's what we are going to do. We're going to take the old surface off, find out where some of the failures are, and we're going to repair those failures underneath and then put an overlay on top, along with adding shoulders. Now, again, you're right. This is not a permanent solution, because a permanent solution is what we call then is street reconstruction. That's what the DCR and the design process is going through now, is a complete reconstruction. So all we're doing with the rehab that we're doing, currently been doing just skim patches. You're right, that is a very temporary, just fix a pothole. But the rehab is going to extend the life of that until we could get in and do the permanent street reconstruction, because we realize that, okay, just these patches and stuff are not enough until it's reconstructed. So we're taking it to the next level here over the wintertime.
Oh, okay. And what's the time frame for the next step once this overlay is done?
Donald, you mean?
Yeah, either one of our Donalds, Donald Glenn or our principal planner.
Yes, let me take a stab at it. Yes, so in terms of the time frame, again, this is Donald Buaku, one of the Donalds. So yes, for the report or the study that we are doing for the more comprehensive reconstruction, and again, also I heard there was a lot of flooding concerns, so I wanted to address that. What we are going to do in this report is also to look at a comprehensive look at the flooding as well. So post-Harvey, new standards have come in, which are called Atlas 14 standards. So what that does is that it's looking at going above and beyond what the previous standards were for drainage. So we are going to go and look at all those new standards for drainage, so that for the reconstruction, we are making sure that all the flooding concerns will and can be addressed with that study. So in terms of the timeline, we are looking at an end date of December for completing this study and having a report in hand. What that report will do is it will give us all the strategy for going forward. And again, like Donald mentioned, we'll involve you all again. We'll come back to you, show you different alternatives that we have, and then you would help us choose the one that would work best for the corridor. And then when we are done, we'll do some preliminary concept designs to firm up that idea, and then we'll go on the road to look for funding for it. One that we are targeting, like I previously mentioned, is the Transportation Improvement Program, which is organized by Harris County, AGAC. So that is one that we are going to be targeting to look for funding, and we are doing that in partnership with the county. We'll also look at other opportunities for funding. So that bigger reconstruction project is coming, it's imminent. As soon as we get funding for it, we would follow up on that. In the meantime, the rehab project is what we are talking about, as Darren mentioned, something better than what you've previously been getting. So I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Donald. It does, yeah, because the flooding, like I said, it's a church here, a congregation. We have a lot of kids, and it does flood, but then the water doesn't go anywhere either. It stays here, and it takes a while to drain. But yeah, if we can just get maybe once y'all get that report done in December, then we can get a time frame on when we get something, more in a time frame of when something will be done permanently.
Yes, sir. And also, again, just another plug. So now going forward, every roadway project we see as a drainage project as well. We don't see them separate from each other. So we make sure that we are addressing every drainage project. We look at the corridor, we look at the entire region to make sure that as we put in the new reconstruction, it's addressing the drainage concerns completely as well, as much as we can, based on the new standards. So in a month or so, we'll be coming to you all again, and we'll show you the things we are thinking, and then we'll get your input on the concept report.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we are at 12:27. We are hitting our 1 hour mark for the meeting. Everybody has had a chance to ask a question, and I see that we have people who have already had an opportunity to ask raise their hands again. So we're gonna take one or two more questions. I have put our Engage Houston website in the chat. So any further questions after our meeting here, you can submit those to the Engage Houston website, and we will address them accordingly. Those questions regarding the DCR and the rehabilitation project will get back to myself directly from that website. Okay, Mr. Herrera?
Yes. The other thing we want to talk about, and I know the people that live here with me right here, I live off of Winewood, and this little area we have here, we talked about it many times, and I think it needs to be addressed, is that the bus stop for the children off of Oats Road is not safe at all. Is there going to be something to be done for our children to be safe when the school buses get here to pick up the children? Because they're basically standing in the middle of the road, and being that the road is kind of small, it's very dangerous for the children to stay there, first of all, to pick up from there, because we do live in a commercial area. Is there something to be done particularly about the bus stop where the children are waiting for the bus? Thank you.
Do you have any public works staff to help address that, or Donald about incorporating some safety measures into our DCR? I believe that is something that will be taken a look at closely.
As part of the DCR, we will be looking at, all safety improvements as it relates to not only vehicles, but pedestrians also. And that would include, bus stops, whether that's for transit or school buses. But I think the question that's being asked may require a response that's before the DCR project, and that would have to be addressed by the city. But we will include, those safety enhancements as part of the future project, certainly.
That's right. Thanks, Donald. And yes, exactly. And we'll be coordinating with Metro as well on bus stops and bus locations. With the school bus locations in the interim, that's something that I don't know if Darren's project will touch on it in any way. But again, that's a good point to note. We can circle back internally here in Public Works to see what we can do, maybe after the rehab project before the design concept report kicks in.
Thank you. And our last question, Olivia. Nope. Okay, we will give the last question to Mr. Greathouse then.
Yes, I was listening to the lady talking about the speed bumps on Oats Road a while ago. We've had speed bumps for the last 25 years. And I want to direct my last question here is about the drainage here. I live on Pandora Drive, and when you turn off Oats Road right on the Pandora Drive, the house right there on the right, just as you turn, there used to be a ditch there. But the people that was living there, they took a pickup and they kept hauling loads in there and filled the ditch in. There is no ditch there. The water just runs all out in the road till it gets on down, into the other ditch or something. So somebody needs to address that about where the ditch used to be, and the people that was living there, they filled it in where they would have a place to park their cars. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance and your participation. We have a lot of work to do, and we will be coming back to you, as Donald stated, later this year to discuss the area further. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please visit our engagehouston.org. And you can submit your comments or questions there. You can call 311. I've also placed my email in the chat box. So anything in regards to the rehabilitation project or the DCR, I can work with Donald and make sure the questions related to the DCR get to him and can be addressed and answered accordingly. So thank you again, everyone, and have a great rest of your Thursday.
Have a great day.
God was a nonprofit. God would understand the individual.